This little road right here. I didn't even know there was a road to this. It's not like a public road, but it's an access road to this particular cliff. This is my favorite place. It's a hot summer day. This is so neat. Look at this. I'll show you here. But first we'll go over here. Now we've been here before, but it's just so awesome. And I came up here for a reason. I want to look, a place to look off. We're going to look off here in a minute. Let's see if we can see some mountaintops and how far we can see for experimental purposes. I'm Bucky Boy. Easy to forget it. I'm exploring caves. Oh, look at what I saw down here. I think this is it. No, this is me. It's over here. I just love this. Oh. Okay. Look at this. I'll have to go down there one of these days. I don't know if I'll do it today, but it's like there's kind of a cave right there, or a lean-to with rocks. You know, like this other big rock is leaning up against the other one, makes a nice little cave, and then there's one over there too. The sun. I'm Parker Boy. They're not liking, real excited because it's pretty hot out. They're panting. They're like, it's hot out here, Dad. Yeah, there's all kinds of places to take shelter down there. I just love this entire area. I got dibs on this whole area for all my friends and family after the tribulation, I guarantee it. This is the area we're going to build Zion, huh? Here it comes. We can make a stairway right up through there, huh? Not big enough to get the four-wheeler through. I want to see if we can get to a place over here where we get the best look off. You see the mountains far away. Well, my rooms, what do you call them? The magic mushrooms are being harvested today. So that's really, really something amazing, and I was excited to see them sprouting. This is the area where, this is the top. This is basically the temple. The center of Zion, shall we say, for the time being, paradise. The cliff. Base of this is the kind of that temple thing, and the little ponderosa grove at the bottom. Barker's lost a lot of hair for summer. He's shedding. All these dogs start with, their names start with a B, and I did not even know that. I didn't plan it. Bucky, Buster, Barker. The only one is not, and then the other one's Barry. And the other one is Maggie. She's got an M. M for Mama. This is so cute. Awesome. Thinking this might be a good spot to look off and to see what we're looking at. To make sure we got our distances correct. So you see, starts here. This is the Chain of Craters National Monument, and from where we're at here, I can just barely see. Alright, right here, you see the mountains over the top there. And so we can't see them all because there's that ridge there. Alright, now those mountains are about 10 miles away, according to the Goggle Brothers. And that is a volcano. Pine Hill, New Mexico. It's right over there somewhere on the other end of that, over that cliff somewhere, about 5 miles. So this mountain range is a bunch of craters and volcanoes, and it just keeps going. And there's one, and there's those two higher volcanic mountains, and then it goes to that one. And you can't see beyond that area because there's a cliff there, and then we come back and see they get further and further away. Now those are the ones we were looking at yesterday, and so the one that was 50 miles and 30 miles, the two little ones in the front of the 50 mile, it was 30 miles if you understand what I mean. That one's behind this cliff. We can't see it where we're at now. But the mountain that's like 60 miles away, now that mountain right there, I know that's 9,000 feet at the top. And I'm about 7,600 feet now. Probably, I don't know, I'm guessing at the moment. I'll look in a minute. But I'm over 7,500. About 7,500, 7,600. And the base of that mountain then, you know, that's about, I don't know, probably 50, 60 miles, I don't know, 50 miles or something. And those cliffs right there are probably about the same height as me. So if you keep going beyond those cliffs, it probably goes to that other ridge, which is straight over. So if the top of that mountain, 30 miles, 50 miles away, is 9,000 something, and I'll look at all the exact figures here in a minute. I've forgotten now, but I'm pretty sure it's over 9,000 feet, that mountain right there. And so if that's 7,500, that's only 1,500 feet from the top of that cliff, or shall we say, keep going and see where that ridge starts, that ridge line in the distance before the mountain. There's like 2 ridge lines. It's got to be more than 1,500 feet. So therefore, I mean, it looks like more, but it couldn't be more than 1,500 because we're at 75 and that's at 9. So, or something thereabouts. We'll look at the exact elevations here in a minute. But this is one thing we do know. We'll find out exactly what the wind's going to blow me up. All of a sudden, the wind coming up. Hold on to my camera. But we know, we will know the exact height of that mountain, and I will get the exact height of the place I'm standing and the exact height of that cliff across there and that ridge on the other side of it. And that will tell us something. But that's a good, and they say 40 miles it should drop 1,000 feet. I don't see that. I don't see how that's possible. But now here's the thing. Oops. We're going to keep going. So that mountain is like towards Eager or something, New Mexico. Those mountains as we go are further and further and further away. And some of them, we'll see some peaks over here, I think. That mountain range just keeps on going. Let me show you how far away those mountains are that we can vividly see. When we zoom out, it's over 100 miles in that direction. But we're not seeing too many of those peaks that we were seeing the other day. I don't know why. Well, there's some kind of a mountain range. But that whole range that we're looking at there is going southwest into Arizona. Mostly southwest, western southwest. And so we're looking over into Arizona. Right here, right there is over into Arizona. Now here, we're looking over the ridge to that little volcano, which is not a real high bump, but we're seeing the base of it. See, when you see the bump, it doesn't go to the ground, then we're looking at the base, not anywhere along the middle of the mountain, between the ground and the top or peak. We're looking at the base. So this did not turn out to be a great spot. I thought it would be to look off. I think over there it will be a better place, and I'm going to head over that way now, and we'll take a look from there across into Arizona and see what we have. I'll catch you there in a minute. Look at this, guys. Some kind of mushroom. Then it was raining. It made a big old mushroom pancake, and then it just stopped raining. Look at all this pitch. You find this pitch just everywhere. I'm going to try and figure out what would be the best use for all this pitch. It just comes everywhere. Balls and balls of pitch off all these trees. There's another one. Pitch balls everywhere. They do burn, I guess. I mean, you know, like they're not really like fuel. Oop. Pardon me there. Well, excuse me. I better watch where I'm walking. Okay. Where's my my Polaris is up here. Okay, we're gonna get back on the Polaris and go over where I just pointed out across the way. Gotta get a new battery for this. I guess the battery just conked out. Side now. Now we're gonna walk over here to these cliffs and see if we can get a better view. This is over at my other property. And see, there's that mountain. It's only about 10, 12, 13, 15 miles. I don't know. There's where we were. On that cliff. And that white rock. That's the temple. Valley here should be really neat. We were over here the other day. I'll go back over here because it looks like we might have a view from this vantage. I've been hearing that cow. Somebody's got a cow over there. This is what looks almost like a... This used to be like a temple or something. A lot of square rocks that over the years could have, you know, changed their exact forms, but it could be thousands of years old, or the Indians may have just used the existing rocks. Hi, Bucky boy. But this wall, or this straight line, it's almost like this was once a wall, but you know, probably just natural. But man, it sure makes like a natural walkway here entering into the court. You'll see here in a minute, it keeps going in a natural line, which there is usually in nature, but it makes for a really beautiful natural temple. It wasn't one thousands of years ago. And as it goes down over through there, we didn't even look. There's some really neat caves and stuff down underneath of this. This is where this flat area keeps going. And then there's two ridged flat areas. And well, three. Evidently or something. How it's just naturally made this flat rocks like this. Hopefully we'll be able to see way over there. Not seeing very good through the air. We'll take a look here in a second. Oh yeah, this is that place where there's all these round holes, almost like it was a kitchen where they were milling or something. And right here, it looks like they had a wash sink or something, and where they put their bar of soap or something, you know, it's kind of weird. Alright, here's where, okay, so there is some advantages to being over here. First of all, we can start here, this volcano, and see there's a chain of these volcanoes. They just keep going down, down, down. We can see those on the map, and get their altitude and everything. There's those two pyramids that we'll find on the map. They ought to be easy to find. And then we see this mountains just keep going on. And there is that. See, we're not seeing that mountain that we saw because we're at a different spot. The other one that we were looking at across the canyon is over there somewhere. It's right there. But we're not seeing, it's right there. That's the one we were looking at yesterday, making all of our measurements from. But This is the one that was like 60 miles. But if you look behind it, I don't know if you can see, there are some big old mountains behind it. Let me see if I can get those in. Okay. For some reason I can't see that big mountain, the outline of it behind there. There it is. I don't know if you can see that. But you can see the outline of this huge mountain behind it. It's a long ways away. You can't see it because the air quality is not that great today. Sorry, I got my glasses in my mouth. But we're not looking over the top of that mountain. We're looking at the base. That ridge where you see the green in the foreground is about the same altitude as where I'm at here. And you can see it just keeps running, going to every mountain range, every mountain, and the base of every mountain in the background. We're below the bases because there's usually like these ridges that goes. And now, okay, so there's what we were seeing, is that over the top of that last ridge, we see another mountain way back there. And you might say, well, that's a tippy tip of 11,000 foot mountain, which would make sense for the curvature of the Earth. Except that it's so far away, it's about 75 miles, maybe, or something. And so what looks like just the tip of a mountain is a major mountain, the top of a major mountain. I mean, you got the whole base of it and everything in that picture, because it's just so far away. Now we keep going. Let's see if we can find any more of these mountains sticking up. Now there you see, we can literally see across. Where did we go? Where did we go? Okay, there's something there. Like we're looking at like a barn or a house or something over there. And how far do you think that is? Let me get that stable, and then we'll focus out. How far do you think it is that we're looking at this barn? It's at 7,500 feet because it's on the same ridge line that we're on, basically. It's probably 20 miles or more. And we're able to just see right on straight over there. You know? It really gives the impression that you could just go and see forever and ever and ever and ever all the way to Los Angeles. Because that's just over on the ridge, but beyond that is another mountain range, and then we can see mountains beyond it, but they're so far in the distance you can't make them out. And remember, guys, yesterday we could actually see those mountains because it was much clearer, and this is what I said yesterday. And then we can look clear over into Arizona, way over there. About 100 miles away over there to those peaks. Now, I will show you mountains beyond it, but they're so far in the distance you can't make them out because it's such a hazy day. We're going to have to come back on a better, clearer day. This is not a clear day. There's probably fires in California or something, but you see, you can't see those mountains in the background, but they're there, and we can see it all the way to the base. That's what I think, but I don't know, man. Your guess is as good as mine, but I guarantee that mountains over there, the peaks that we're looking at, are 70 to 80, 90 miles away at least. Alright, it's too hot out here today. I'm gonna head back. Look at this old, this is old cabin here. It's an old log cabin from a long time ago. It's an old homestead here. Wow. Oh, this is an Indian powwow. An old one. It's a sacred place. But it's seen better days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 sides. The Native American 6-sided powwow. All right, guys. This is the United States upside down. I'm going to go from the north and look down south. There's the New Mexico. Arizona's on the right because we're upside down. You see Gallup, which is north of me. And that's where I'm located right now. It tells you where I'm actually at. I'm on my property at home. But that's not where we were. We were going to find out the elevation of that area where we were. So let us go to that road we were on. It's right here. This is the Valley View Lane where I drove the scooter down, or the the four-wheeler. We parked it there and we walked over here to the edge of the cliff, which you can't see very well here because, I don't know, there's a cloud over this area, so it's like it's dark out. But anyway, I can still pick out the cliff right here, I think. We'll mark it. We drop pinned it. It says it's 7,496 feet. Do it there. 7,492. We'll do it here. 7,496. So we're at 7,500 feet, basically. And we were looking across the canyon, and I said that the other side of the canyon should be about 7,500 feet as well. Well, let's take a look. Across the canyon. Across the canyon would be right over here. And that's where we ended up going, and we walked out on this rock. Exactly. Remember that? That's where we were walking. Literally, we walked right across that rock. It doesn't come any clearer than that at that close, but that's where we were standing. So we'll get an elevation there. 7,472, 466, 473. Practically exactly the same altitude. If we get up on this rock, it's probably a little higher. 7,476. All right, so from here we looked off across and we saw the Chain of Craters National Monument. It's right there. There it is. Chain of Craters Wilderness Study Area. So we were looking. Where are we? Oh, from here, we were looking over here to one of these little volcanoes. There's, we saw several of them, but 7,729. This looks like the big one right here at the top. 7,725. So that's 225, 230 feet higher than where we were looking straight across. And we stood there and looked straight across. And then, remember, the next big mountain was this Tecado mountain. those two little mountains in front of it must be these. 21 miles. Then this mountain (7,753 feet). Yeah, then these are probably the two mountains that we were looking at. Chimney Hill, 7,500 feet. So that's the mountain right there, the one that's 7,500 feet, that I said was about the same altitude as where we were standing. And we were looking across, we can measure it. We were looking at that little spot, which is $12 miles. But that's probably it. So it's only 12 miles. Because we were saying it was 29 miles or 30 miles yesterday. But I think we had the wrong mountain. It was probably only 12 miles. But we were still looking from 7,500 feet over 12 miles to 7,500 feet. And it should drop in 12 miles. It should drop several hundred feet over the horizon. But it didn't do that. And then we keep right on going past that mountain to this big Tiedo mountain, and we can see the whole mountain from clear down to the base. What is the base of this mountain? Right about here is the elevation. 7,500 feet. So you see down there at the base of the mountain, it's 7,500 feet. And we could literally see the base of that mountain. And how far away is that? That's about 24 miles. So now we're seeing no curvature at 25 miles, 24 miles. So from this Tecado mountain, you go over here to this mountain. And we saw that one, and we saw the base of that mountain. And the base of that mountain is right about here. It's 7,000 feet. So we were looking at the base of that mountain. We could literally see pretty much the base of that mountain. I don't know exactly where we were looking, but it looked like we could see this whole mountain here. Eagle Peak, that's probably basically the mountain we saw. The next one over, 6,952. So we were looking directly over to these mountains, and we were following them down to Alpine. But where were we looking? Well, when we were here, we were looking off from this point. We were looking as far right as we could. We couldn't have, you see these rocky bluffs here, we couldn't have seen past that. We would have to have been looking straight down, see, a straight line here, which would have taken us, that straight line would have taken us all the way over here to this area where we were measuring the mountains at 11,000 feet yesterday. Anyway, it's impossible to get this, really accurate. So this is not an accurate way to know whether or not the Earth is round. We don't even know really for certain what mountain we're looking at. You know, maybe you could sit and play with it for hours or days and figure out something to prove something. But I don't know if I've got enough time, friends. But I don't know why somebody hasn't gone and looked and found some actual proof. You know, we can see this and there's a sign on it and here's a picture. And, you know, maybe they have a lot of videos like that or pictures that the internet's scrapped or whatever. I do know that there's some interesting pictures online where people can focus in and you can see when a boat goes over the horizon, you can focus in on it and you can still see the boat mast and hull and everything. But who knows, friends? For instance, yesterday, I thought it might be 30 miles to that mountain. It looks like it was only 12 miles. However, I'm just looking. I'm just examining this evidence. I don't think it's very clear. You remember, we do have other things to see here. We can look at the North Star, the Polaris, and it never moves. And then we can see the astrological signs going around and around, and it does appear that we're some kind of a spinning ball. However, if you've looked at the videos I did, you know, a week ago, there's several of them I did, which I believe proves from ancient texts and biblical texts that we are geocentric. And then we even took it from the scientific point of view, where we point out that consciousness is what makes reality. And so, since we're here, everything we're consciously thinking has got to be around us in some way. So then we talked about how you're consciously making or, you know, dreaming this world, and therefore every mountain you imagine something on the other side. So it could be an eternal plane in some way. But we're going to further investigate this. It honestly doesn't persuade me one way or the other, this altitude thing that we're doing here, because it could be that the Earth is round and the mountains are going down out of sight, although I don't see evidence for that too much. But if we did find evidence for that, it may not even be that the Earth is round, but it may just be that when you're looking that far away, things just go to a pinpoint in the distance and you just can't see them anymore. And I think that's very logical. And this is kind of what I was showing you, is on how you can just keep seeing mountain peaks in the distance, but they get more difficult to see because the atmosphere is making it, it's like you're looking through water and you can't really distinguish anything. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we're going to continue to investigate and see if we can find some absolute scientific visible proof that we can see with our own eyes and come to some kind of conclusion. You guys have a wonderful evening. I'm David Vose, and the Lord will bless you. We'll see you tomorrow.